Far more than we think. Making Sense of Spirituality by Angelo. Chapter 4. Out of My Mind at Last. Having established that we are 99.9999% non-physical, we can move on to consider what the underlying energetic reality of our existence might be. We have probably all heard the phrase body, mind and spirit, but somehow I had the notion that my mind and spirit were rolled into one. I considered myself to be comprised of just a body and a mind. This is perhaps understandable given the way in which we go about our daily lives. We see ourselves in the mirror and easily identify with our bodies. Indeed, all of us are acutely aware of our bodies, either positively or negatively, or a mixture of both for most of us. We're bombarded with images and advice as to how we should look, how we should dress, and how we should appear to the outside world. For many of us, our physical appearance is of paramount importance in our lives. We also, of course, identify strongly with our minds. What we think and feel represent the very essence of who we are. Quote, "I think, therefore I am," close quote, is a famous saying by Descartes, and most of us buy into that idea. I tend to associate my mind with my brain, because that is where my thinking seems to take place. But we all know that emotions and feelings occur in other parts of the body as well. The mind is broader than just the physical brain, but the more important point here is that we strongly believe in our own minds. We tend to think that we are always right, and we generally trust our own thinking and judgment. We make mistakes, of course, and we try to learn from them. We don't like being wrong, but we can accept it, provided we learn something useful. We live and learn. That's how we get along in life. So I had a strong and clear perception of myself as a body and a mind. But then the circumstances of my life conspired to allow me the tiniest glimpse of the existence of a third element of my being. It is an inexplicable form of energy that exists separately from, but in conjunction with, my body and mind. This energy within is what I now define as spirit. Once I experienced this and knew it to be true, I started to pursue a deeper understanding of spirituality in its many guises. What transpired was an understanding not only that my spirit exists as part of me, but also that it is me. My body is a physical manifestation of the underlying energy, or the spiritual me, and my mind is the way in which I experience this physical existence. This was the most incredible realization of my life. I am spirit energy at my core, and my body and mind are the vehicles through which I exist in this world. And remember that our physical bodies are 99.9999% empty space anyway. So this startling conclusion is actually fairly plausible. So now my perception of myself has completely changed. The logical order has reversed from body, mind and spirit to become spirit, mind and body. I am a spirit being wandering around planet Earth in the form of a human body, and I experience life through my mind. I'm no longer just defined by my body and by my thoughts and feelings. There's more to it than that. We really are far more than we think. This initial glimpse of my own spirituality is what I now understand to be a spiritual awakening. This does not necessarily have to be a dramatic flash of brilliant awareness, but just a quiet realization and acceptance that there is more to our existence than we may have previously thought. A spiritual awakening is nothing more than this. We simply wake up from the slumber of life as we used to perceive it. Once we wake up, however embryonic the concept of our own spirituality may be, things really begin to open up for us. There's now a lot of ground to cover, and the good news is that many people have been there before us. All we need to do is soak up the wisdom that is already around us. Waking up seems to happen at various times and at different speeds for each of us. If it has happened to you, or is in the process of happening, I'm genuinely thrilled for you. It's without doubt an incredible feeling, and a source of joy far greater than anything I've ever known. However good we may be feeling right now, my experience has been that it gets better and better. If it has not yet happened for you, there is so much to look forward to. We all ultimately have a choice as to whether to embrace our spiritual selves. My own choice was a simple one once this realization of spirit became clear to me. The Descartes thought process now reverses to become I am, therefore I think. I see myself as a spiritual being first and foremost, and my thinking arises as a result of my physical existence. Much of my thinking is still based upon my ego self, because that has been my life experience to date. But identification with spirit allows this obsession with self to begin to change. The conceptual separation of my spirit from my mind opens up the possibility for dramatic change. My spirit can become the observer of my ego self. Instead of impulsively acting on my thoughts and feelings as they arise, I now have the opportunity to see them from a spiritual perspective and decide whether they are in my best interests. Quite often I find that they are not. Willpower and self-control are replaced by self-monitoring from a position of spirit. I increasingly find that I can determine how I feel and think, and unsurprisingly, this makes me happy. It makes me happy because I can choose to be happy. This awareness does not happen all the time, but when it does, it provides an early taste of bliss. It becomes a vital step on the path toward further enlightenment. Identification with the spirit within, as distinct from body and mind, is fundamental to placing ourselves on a path of spiritual growth. I spent many years trying to get out of the prison of my mind, using alcohol and other distractions, but it was only when I finally identified with my spiritual self that I was able to get out of my mind at last.